So, I will take you all to the future of learning. And today's chapter is actually hitting. You've lost your job today, not tomorrow. And if you are going to work tomorrow, it's saving grace of the system. It's saving grace of people who have compassion for you. And let me tell you, markets are merciless. And we have talked about liberalism, we have talked about communism, we have talked about fascism. What really changed the game was this access to market. So if you see in the last 100 years or so, as the world globalized, and by the way, today also don't think world will not globalize. We are facing some trade imbalances. This will get sorted out of compulsion of the market. So that's the power of the market. That's the power of the freedom we humans have, because borders are only for people who want to make political capital out of them. So last week we were thinking beyond labels. There's a very interesting post by Sangeeta Singh from Sunbeam School, Mao. If Sangeeta is here, she can read, or we will try and just give a summary of that. Sangeeta is not here. We have a whole team from Jodamal School. I hope you find this new process easier. I know it takes a moment to change. I'm sorry about that. So this will be a recap of the last session. We talked about the liberal mindset. So what she says, it was thought provoking, and we challenged beyond labels. So that was the whole story where we said, let's go on to a liberal mindset. Now, what is a liberal mindset? The liberal mindset talks of free markets, democracy, individual freedom, gender equality, global cooperation, and all these add to what we call a liberal mindset. Now, liberal mindset is so beautiful. You feel that it is threatened. Let's look at an example. What's happening in geopolitics in so many places. Let's look at New Delhi today. There is a liberal mindset. Yes, we have in New Delhi people who have beliefs, are lawmakers. Some believe in dictatorship, some believe in fascism, some believe in communism, and yes, large number believe in liberalism, maybe with a nationalist mindset, but that's okay. That's just their bottom line is that they all have to work with the markets. So that's where we are, and that's what is happening in the world today. As an educator, I believe our responsibility is not to shape students' opinions. Listen, as an educator, I believe our responsibility is not to shape students' opinions, but to equip them with the ability to question, analyze, and think independently. Today's session reminded me the true education develops open minded and responsible citizens who can understand complexity rather than seek simplistic answers. Something very beautiful. I think what I need to do on this very page, I shall take you to schooleducation.com. So if you go to schooleducation.com, we are talking about something which we says what happens when an entire generation loses the ability to read deeply. I won't play the video, you can play the video. And we are saying the future will be shaped by those who can think deeply. This is what whole book about Yuval is about, his whole book ahead. So what I think you should spend time here, and why I'm going to this particular website is because I want to head and show you something which is very akin to what Yuval says. So we look at the screen, our Learning for Life model, which we work with at the Learning Forward retreat. So Shalinder said you can send some people to Dehradun, I'll take care of them. Learning Forward retreat is a residential retreat where I run them through this entire framework. So in 48 hours, we do the framework. Let's look at this framework deeply. First thing, critical thinking. Yuval says the same thing. Second thing, creativity. Yuval says the same thing. Third, collaboration. He says this. And fourth, communication. He stops. Now, I am making a very radical statement. Let's forget his 4 C's. Let's go to 2 C's, because I think 2 C's is all we need. If you have character and citizenship, other things will happen. And how will you have character? Because you critically think, you are creative, you can collaborate, and you can communicate. That's what character is, sir. And if you don't have character, then the other 4 C's are useless. So if I challenge what Yuval is writing, I'm simply saying is all one need is character and citizenship. So if I took it citizenship, thinking, As global citizens, we engage with diverse values to address complex issues impacting human and environmental sustainability. So just look at this. What is happening today, the environmental sustainability and how humans are clashing across the globe. This is really the important part of citizenship. And last time, my dear friend Kushi, if she's here, she said, "Sir, how do people vote with their feet?" So I gave her an example that you just leave the land and cross the border and go where you want to go. That's voting again with your feet. So your citizenship and voting with your feet are just about the same thing. You value your citizenship and you cross the border. You nurture your citizenship when you come back with values. When you send remittances, you are still looking after your citizenship. When you don't give your passport, you're still a citizenship. You have not changed your vote. You have a different status, all right. So if you look at character, essential qualities for personal effectiveness in a complex world, including perseverance, resilience, and honesty. Let's go back. From the days of Ram Rajya to where we are, persistence, resilience, and honesty have always borne fruit. My take today, I say a simple thing. India has only one challenge: dishonesty. We don't have any other challenge. We are well resourced. We have everything in this country. And if someone can help us overcome dishonesty, I think we will become a Viksit Bharat. So, on that note, let's see how you can keep your job. Let's see what we have in store today. We talk about work in the second chapter of Yuval's book, 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. When you grow up, you might not have a job. We have no idea what the job market will look like in 2050. It is generally agreed that machine learning and robotics will change almost every line of work, from producing yogurt to teaching yoga. Pause here and think what's happening. This book is 10 years old. However, there are conflicting views about the nature of the change and its imminence. Some believe that within a mere decade or two, billions of people will become economically redundant. Others maintain that even in the long run, automation will keep generating new jobs and greater prosperity for all. Steam engine came, more jobs created. Automation happens in industry. I am positive and optimistic of the opinion there will be more jobs. So that's my opinion. And that's why he's valuing all the opinions. And let's see what happens to the statement. So, are we on the verge of a terrifying upheaval? Or are such forecasts yet another example of ill-founded Luddite hysteria? Interesting word. Let's find out what Luddite is. So I go here. A member of any of the bands of English workers who destroyed machinery, especially in cotton woolen. So that is hysteria. It is hard to say. Fears that automation will create massive unemployment go back to the 19th century, and so far they have never materialized. Since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, for every job lost to a machine, at least one new job was created. And the average standard of living has increased dramatically. Let me see why he puts this one here. Okay, we won't click this here. Yet, there are good reasons to think that this time it is different and that machine learning will be a real game changer. Humans have two types of abilities: physical and cognitive. In the present, in the past, sorry, machines competed with humans mainly in raw physical abilities, while humans retained an immense edge over machines in cognition. Hence, as manual jobs in agriculture and industry were automated, new service jobs emerged. That required the kind of cognitive skills only humans possessed: learning, analyzing, communicating, and above all, understanding human emotions. I'm going to pause here and say AI, and Kunal will be smiling. AI means all in. It doesn't mean what you're thinking. Look what I'm saying. A for all, I for in. Note this down and think about it, why I'm saying all in. If you look at spirituality, it's inside you. And spirituality is the ultimate human renaissance of human thought, really. So it's important you understand yourself. That is the first thing. And if you ask me if you can do that, you can overcome any challenge in your life. However, AI is now beginning to outperform humans in more and more of these skills, including in the understanding of human emotions. We don't know how of any third field of activity beyond the physical and the cognitive where humans always retain a secure edge. It is crucial to realize that the AI revolution is not just about computers getting faster and smarter. Understand this. It is fueled by breakthroughs in the life sciences and social sciences as well. The better we understand the biochemical mechanisms that underpin human emotions, desires, and choices, the better computers can become in analyzing human behavior, predicting human decisions, and replacing human drivers, bankers, and lawyers. In the last few decades, research in areas such as neuroscience and behavioral economics allowed scientists to hack humans, and in particular to gain a much better understanding of how humans make decisions. It turned out that our choices of everything from food to mates result not from some mysterious free will, but rather from billions of neurons calculating probabilities within a split second. Wanted human intuition is in reality pattern recognition. Let's read this carefully. Wanted human intuition. Wanted, the word is wanted, not W. Please note this word. Is the word and his vocabulary is just fantastic, and that's why I love this book. So, boast about or praise, especially excessively, that's wanted. So, wanted human intuition, sorry, is in reality pattern recognition. Note this. Good drivers, bankers, and lawyers don't have magical intuitions about traffic, investment, or negotiation. Rather, by recognizing recurring patterns, they spot and try to avoid careless pedestrians, inept borrowers, and dishonest crooks. It also turned out that the biochemical algorithms of the human brain are far from perfect. They rely on heuristics, shortcuts, and outdated circuits adapted to the African savanna rather than the urban jungle. So when I talk about heuristics, I talk about shortcuts, and talk about circuits. There are three things which are mentioned here. And he's linking you to the African savanna and not the urban jungle. So man has moved from nature into the urban jungle. So the urban jungle place is not understood by everyone. That's what the focus here is. No wonder that even good drivers, bankers, and lawyers sometimes make stupid mistakes. We have seen crash of markets, we have seen accidents. This means that AI can outperform humans even in tasks that supposedly demand intuition. If you think AI needs to compete against the human soul in terms of mystical hunches, that sounds impossible. But if AI really needs to compete against neural networks in calculating probabilities and recognize patterns, that sounds far less daunting. I'm going to pause. In the last 1 week, my WhatsApp in our organization has learned how to work, and it's working on its own. You won't even realize it. I'm giving you a living example of AI and living example of technologies. So when you write to us, see how beautiful responses you get. And the language is fantastic, absolutely. And it's not a language which Chat GPT generates, it's language which we write. So the probabilities and patterns WhatsApp AI bot of mine has or ours has understood. So next time try and have an individual conversation and see what happens. I'm just giving you an insight how far learning AI and technology will go. In particular, AI can be better at jobs that demand intuitions. So when I say intuition, you're asking me a question, it can give you an answer. That's intuition about other people. Many lines of work, such as driving a vehicle in a street full of pedestrians, lending money to strangers, and negotiating a business deal required the ability to correctly assess the emotions and desires of other people. Is that kid about to jump onto the road? Now you're driving, and this is what happens. Harmeet, please go mute. Harmeet Raina, kindly go mute. Does the man in the suit intend to take my money and disappear? Will that lawyer act on his threats, or is he just bluffing? As long as it was thought that such emotions and desires were generated by an immaterial spirit, it seems obvious that computers will never be able to replace human drivers, bankers, and lawyers. For how can a computer understand the divinely created human spirit? Yet, if these emotions and desires are in fact no more than biochemical algorithms, there is no reason why computers cannot decipher these algorithms and do so far better than any Homo sapiens. A driver predicting the intentions of a pedestrian, a banker assessing the credibility of a potential borrower, a lawyer gauging the mood at the negotiation table don't rely on witchcraft. Rather, unbeknownst to them, their brains are recognizing biochemical patterns by analyzing facial expressions, tones of voice, hand movements, and even body odors. An AI equipped with the right sensors could do all that far more accurately and reliably than a human. Hence, the threat of job losses does not result merely from the rise of infotech. It results from the confluence of infotech with biotech. The way from the fMRI scanner to the labor market is long and tortuous, but it can still be covered within a few decades. What brain scientists are learning today about the amygdala and the cerebellum, these are parts of your brain, might make it possible for computers to outperform human psychiatrists and bodyguards in 2050. It'll have sooner than that. I tell you that. I hope I'm alive to show you that. AI not only stands poised to hack humans and outperform them in what were hitherto uniquely human skills, it also enjoys uniquely non human abilities, which make the difference between an AI and a human worker one of a kind rather than merely of degree. Two particularly important non human capabilities that AI possesses are connectivity and updatability. Connectivity and updatability. This is your competition. Connectivity and updatability. Are you updatable? Does your time, does your schedule to even allow you to come here and get updated in this half an hour? Ask yourself. And if you are here, you are at the right place with connectivity and updatability. Since humans are individuals, it is difficult to connect them to one another and to make sure they are all up to date. In contrast, computers aren't individuals, and it is easy to integrate them into a single flexible network. Hence, what we are facing is not the replacement of millions of individual human workers by millions of individual robots and computers. Rather, individual humans are likely to be replaced by an integrated network. When considering automation, it is therefore wrong to compare the abilities of a single human driver to that of a single self-driving car, or of a single human doctor to that of a single AI doctor. Rather, we should compare the abilities of a collection of human individuals to the abilities of an integrated network. For example, many drivers are unfamiliar with the changing traffic regulations and they often violate them. This morning, when I was driving to work, I know where the camera was and I'd always stay 40, 50. But someone from behind me came and drove over 60. He didn't know where the camera was, so that's a violation. And today, this is a classic example of what we are trying to see here. In addition, since every vehicle is an autonomous entity, then two vehicles approach the same junction at the same time. The drivers might miscommunicate their intentions and collide. Self-driving cars, in contrast, can all be connected to one another. That's what he's talking about connectivity. When two such vehicles approach the same junction, they are not really two separate entities. They are part of a single logarithm. This is a very interesting statement. The chances that they might miscommunicate and collide are therefore far small. Now you are walking on a pedestrian path and a car is coming along. If you were connected with the driver through a network, I'm sure that would save you. But the driver has to rely on intuition and so you have to. So there's chance of miscommunication. And if the Ministry of Transport decides to change some traffic regulation, all self-driving vehicles can be easily updated at exactly the same moment. And barring some bug in the program, they will all follow the new regulation to the letter. I mentioned something about humans following regulation. I mentioned something about character and citizenship. I mentioned something about corruption. So, yes, we have all these challenges, all the C's, these are all C words, cancer. So, the important part is no matter how much regulation is, it will be very difficult for us to control the billions and billions of humans. But if we were a connected network of humans, and if you could understand by my eyes and by my emotions, then we won't have accidents. Similarly, if the World Health Organization identifies a new disease or if a laboratory produces a new medicine, it is almost impossible to update all the human doctors in the world about these developments. In contrast, even if you have 10 billion AI doctors in the world, each monitoring the health of a single human being, you can still update all of them within a split second. And they can all communicate to each other their feedback in the new disease or medicine. These potential advantages of connectivity and updatability are so huge that, at least in some lines of work, it might make sense to replace all humans with computers, even if individually some humans still do a better job than the machines. You might object that by switching from individual humans to a computer network, we will lose the advantages of individuality. For example, if one human doctor makes a wrong judgment, he does not kill all the patients in the world, and it does not block the development of all new medications. In contrast, if all doctors are really just one single system and the system makes a mistake, the results might be catastrophic. In truth, however, an integrated computer system can maximize the advantages of connectivity without losing the benefits of individuality. You can run many alternative logarithms on the same network so that a patient in a remote jungle village can access through her smartphone not just a single authoritative doctor, but actually 100 different AI doctors whose relative performance is constantly being compared. You don't like what IBM doctor told you, no problem. Even if you are stranded somewhere on the slopes of Kilimanjaro, you can easily contact the Baidu doctor for a second opinion. The benefits of a human society are likely to be immense. AI doctors could provide far better and cheaper healthcare for billions of people. By the way, we don't have enough doctors even in any country in the world, particularly for those who currently receive no healthcare at all. Thanks to learning logarithms and biometric sensors, a poor villager in an underdeveloped country might come to enjoy far better healthcare via a smartphone than the richest person in the world gets today from the most advanced urban hospital. I'll pause. I do travel a little. I wish I had. I have a little biosensor which comes onto my finger and that connects me to my doctor's lab. See the benefit. He can get my heart rate, he can get my pulse, he can get my oxygen, he can get everything no matter where I am. And he can advise me in time. He can give me preventive medicine if he sees some data which he feels is leading to some trouble at my end. So that's the beauty of the systems. That's the beauty of machine. That's the beauty of what we are looking at, what's happened in the world today. Your health and your longevity has happened all thanks to this technology and connectivity. Wonder if someone's ever experienced an MRI, how better it has become. Recently, I got an echo done. It's done by an ultrasound machine. So I was fascinated when I saw the graphics and I wanted to be explained. And when I understood the graphic, it even explained that which part of my heart is getting stiff and which part of my heart is soft. So if a AI or a machine or a scanner can give all that detail to a doctor, who is an AI one, you will get connected to a doctor with the best and updated knowledge than the physician next door who doesn't read. Similarly, self driving vehicles could provide people with much better transport services, in particular, reduce mortality from traffic accidents. I give an example the other day. These days, your metro can run without a driver. Your metro can go forward, your metro can go backward. I even mentioned about trains last time when I said trains now don't have to go shunting and engine can move both ways. Engines have a anti-collision device, so accidents have reduced beforehand. So all these things are reducing mortality, and it's happening because of algorithm, because of data, because of intuition being able to study by machine. Today, close to 1.25 million people are killed annually in traffic accidents, twice the number killed by war, crime, and terrorism combined. And you don't hear of that. More than 90% of these accidents are caused by very human errors. Somebody drinking alcohol and driving, somebody texting a message while driving, somebody falling asleep at the wheel, somebody daydreaming instead of paying attention to the road. The US National Highway Safety Administration estimated in 2012 that 31% of fatal crashes in USA involved alcohol abuse, 30% involved speeding, 21% involved distracted drivers. Self-driving vehicles will never do any of these, though they suffer from their own problems and limitation, and though some accidents are inevitable. Replacing our human drivers by computers is expected to reduce deaths and injuries on the road by about 90%. In other words, switching to autonomous vehicle is likely to save the lives of million people every year. Hence, it would be madness to block automation in fields such as transport and healthcare just in order to protect human jobs. After all, what we ultimately ought to protect is humans, not jobs. Yes, this is a piece of reflection which I would like you to write, which I would like you to note down. Let's just copy this statement and keep it for ourselves. Let's copy it. Let's highlight it. Let me see if I can park it in your WhatsApp because I want you to reflect on this very powerful statement. Yeah, I just added to your WhatsApp. Think about the statement this weekend. It's an important statement. Redundant drivers and doctors will just have to find something else to do. The Mozart in the machine. We'll carry on. At least in the short term, AI and robotics are unlikely to completely eliminate entire industries. Jobs that require specialization in a narrow range of routinized activities will be automated, but it will be much more difficult to replace humans with machines in less routine jobs that demand the simultaneous use of a wide range of skills and that involve dealing with unforeseen scenarios. Take healthcare, for example. Many doctors focus exclusively on process information. They absorb medical data, analyze it, and produce diagnosis. Nurses, in contrast, also need good motor and emotional skills in order to give a painful injection, replace a bandage, or restrain a violent patient. Hence, you'll probably have an AI family doctor on your smartphone decades before we have a reliable nurse robot. The human care industry, which takes care of the sick, the young, and the elderly, is likely to remain a human bastion for a long time. Indeed, as people live longer and have fewer children, care of the elderly will probably be one of the fastest growing sectors in the human labor market. Yeah, so I want to talk about this care of the elderly as the world is aging and the younger generation will not be able to take care. Just the other day, I shared a snippet somewhere about the collapse of the joint family system. And we've already reached that point, by the way, that we can't take care of the elder generation. And from remote, if technology can help you look after your parents, you'll be happier. You'll pay any amount. If your parents' health can be monitored through a system, and the system can even arrange a part of, basically, if you look at it this way, today at the speed of thought, business is happening. Just look at a normal Blinkit. You need something, you get in 10 minutes. Don't think in any other terms. Now, interesting thing was, if Blinkit could figure out you will need something in 10 minutes and it comes on its own, that won't be a surprise, won't it be? And that's what happens sometimes when you're on the network. Like what I'm talking, for that matter of fact, every machine in the room, this one, that one, let me tell you, they're all listening to you. Believe it or not, every machine, every device in your room already senses you. And the patterns sometimes will zap you. When you're thinking of something, you'll get a notification on Amazon. When you go searching in Google, it'll take you to a place where you should go. So we have reached that far. Think about it, and let's see what this Mozart story is all about. So I'll go back to my Kindle. I'll just flip the page back a little. At least in the short term, AI and robotics are unlikely to completely eliminate entire industries. Jobs that require specialization in the narrow range of routinized activities. So, if you look at it that way, so doctor's job of analyzing data and giving diagnosis, it's quite routinized. But look at a nurse's job, it's not routinized. And nurse sometimes can even do better than a doctor, simply because they form a part of the care system. They have the emotions, they have the feelings, and they actually have a 14 sensory perception. So I'm talking not just of five senses. A nurse would have higher than five senses because of her empathy, caring. So her spirituality, her emotional content, her EQ, IQ will be a far deeper because she can understand your pain. Indeed, as people live longer and have fewer children, care for the elderly will probably be one of the fastest growing sectors in the human labor market. Alongside care, creativity too poses particularly difficult hurdles for automation. We don't need humans to sell us music anymore. We can download it directly from the iTunes store. But the composers, musicians, singers, and DJs are still flesh and blood. We rely on their creativity not just to produce completely new music, but also to choose among a mind boggling range of available possibilities. Nevertheless, in the long run, no job will remain absolutely safe from automation. Even artists should be put on notice. In the modern world, art is usually associated with human emotions. We tend to think that artists are channeling internal psychological forces, and that the whole purpose of art is to connect us with our emotions or to inspire in us some new feeling. Consequently, when we come to evaluate art, we tend to judge it by its emotional impact on the audience. Yet, if art is defined by human emotions, what might happen once external logarithms are able to understand and manipulate human emotions better than Shakespeare, Frida Kahlo, or Beyonce? After all, emotions are not some mystical phenomena. They are the result of biochemical process. Hence, it is not too distant future a machine learning algorithm could analyze the biometric data streaming from sensors on and inside our body, determine your personality type and your changing moods, and calculate the emotional impact that a particular song, even in a particular music key, is likely to have on you. Of all forms of art, music is probably the most susceptible to big data analysis because both inputs and outputs lend themselves to precise mathematical depiction. The inputs are the mathematical patterns of sound waves, and the outputs are the electrochemical patterns of neural storms. So it causes a neural storm in your brain. Music works like that. Just the other day, when I went for a medical checkup, I was advised to listen to music. You can guess why. It lowers your blood pressure. Try it. Within a few decades, an algorithm that goes over millions of musical experiences might learn to predict how particular inputs result in particular outputs. Suppose you just had a nasty fight with your boyfriend. The algorithm in charge of your sound system will immediately discern your inner emotional turmoil. And based on what it knows about about you personally and about human psychology in general, it will play songs tailored to resonate with your gloom and echo your distress. Think about this. How, when you listen to melancholy songs, or when you're depressed, what music you listen to. When you're happy, what music you listen to. When you're cheerful, what music you listen to. Try and answer these questions. These particular songs might not work well with other people, but are just perfect for your personality type. After helping you get in touch with the depths of your sadness, the algorithm would then play the one song in the world that is likely to cheer you up. Perhaps because your subconscious connects it with a happy childhood memory that even you're not aware of. No human DJ could ever hope to match the skills of such an AI. You might object that the AI would thereby kill serendipity and lock us inside a narrow musical cocoon woven by our previous likes and dislikes. What about exploring new musical tastes and styles? No problem. You could easily adjust the logarithm to make 5% of your choices completely at random. Unexpectedly throw at you a recording of an Indonesian game plan ensemble, a Rossini opera, or the latest K-pop hit. Over time, by monitoring your reactions, the AI could determine the ideal level of randomness that will optimize exploration while avoiding annoyance, perhaps lowering its serendipity level to 3% or raising it to 8%. Another possible objection is that it is unclear how the logarithm could establish its emotional goals. If you just fought with your boyfriend, should the logarithm aim to make you sad or joyful? Would it blindly follow a rigid scale of good emotions and bad emotions? Maybe there are times in life when it is good to feel sad. The same question, of course, could be directed at human musicians and DJs. Yet, with an logarithm, there are many interesting solutions to the puzzle. One option is to just leave it to the customer. You can evaluate your emotions whichever way you like, and the algorithm will follow your diktats. Whether you want to wallow in self pity or jump for joy, the algorithm will slavishly follow your lead. Indeed, the algorithm may learn to recognize your wishes even without your being explicitly aware of them. Alternatively, if you don't trust yourself, you can instruct the algorithm to follow the recommendation of whichever eminent psychologist you do trust. If your boyfriend eventually dumps you, the algorithm may walk you through the official 5 stages of grief. First, helping you deny what happened by playing Bobby McFerrin's Don't Worry, Be Happy. Then, whipping up your anger with Alanis Morissette. You ought to know, encouraging to bargain with Jacques Brel's Ne me qui pas and Paul Young's Come Back and Stay, dropping you into a pit of depression with Adele's Someone Like You and Hello, and finally aiding you with to accept this situation like Gloria Gaynor's I Will Survive. The next step is the logarithm to start tinkering with the songs and melodies themselves, changing them ever so slightly to fit your quirks. Perhaps you dislike a particular bit in an otherwise excellent song. The logarithm knows it because your heartbeat skips a bit and your oxytocin level drops slightly whenever you hear that annoying part. The logarithm could rewrite or edit out the offending notes. In the long run, logarithms may learn how to compose entire tunes playing on human emotions as if they were a piano keyboard, using your biometric data the logarithm could even produce personalized melodies, which you alone in the entire universe would appreciate. It is often said that people connect with art because they find themselves in it. Interesting. It is often said that people connect with art because they find themselves in it. This may lead to surprising and somewhat sinister result if and when, say, Facebook begins creating personalized art based on everything it knows about you. If your boyfriend leaves you, Facebook will treat you to an individualized song about the particular bastard rather than about the unknown person who broke the heart of Adele or Alanis Morissette. The song will even remind you of real incidents from your relationship, which nobody else in the world knows. Here's another sentence I want to copy and add for you to reflect on. I'm finding basic, simple sentences. You can even post your comment and reflection in the WhatsApp chat. We can pick it up from there for the blog. And we create blog posts of your reflections so that you remember we were together and you enjoyed with us at this particular time, read and thought. So we are only here for two things: read and reflect. The relationship comes as we go along. Of course, personalized art might never catch on because people will continue to prefer common hits that everybody likes. How can you dance or sing together to a tune nobody besides you knows? But logarithms could prove even more adept at producing global hits than personalized rarities. By using massive biometric databases garnered from millions of people, the logarithm could know which biochemical buttons to press in order to produce a global hit, which would set everybody swinging like crazy on the dance floor. If art is really about inspiring or manipulating human emotions, few, if any, musicians will have a chance of competing with such an algorithm because they cannot match it in understanding the chief instrument they are playing on, which is the human biochemical system. Will all this result in great art? That depends on the definition of art. If beauty is indeed in the eyes of the listener, and if the customer is always right, then biometric logarithms stand a chance of producing the best art in history. If art is about sometimes deeper than human emotions and should express a truth beyond our biochemical variations, biometric logarithms might not be very good artists. But nor do most humans. In order to enter the art market and displace many human composers and performers, logarithms won't have to begin by straightaway surpassing Tchaikovsky. It will be enough if they outperform Britney Spears. New jobs. The loss of many traditional jobs in everything from art to healthcare will be partly offset by the creation of new human jobs. GPs who focus on diagnosing, GPs is general practitioners, on diagnosing known history, on known diseases and administering familiar treatments will probably be replaced by AI doctors. But precisely because of that, there will be a bunch more money to pay human doctors, and lab assistant could do groundbreaking research and develop new medicines or surgical procedures. AI might help create new human jobs in another way. Instead of humans competing with AI, they could focus on servicing and leveraging AI. Now, this is for you to understand, and we are living it in front of you. When we talk digital literacy, let me tell you, we are very deep inside it. Learning Forward Foundation, by the way, works purely on technology. We have subscription of so many of the AI tools, and that's how we're able to service you with just about no people in our organization, beyond a person and a half. And yes, you are there, you lead us, you are part of this experiment. Thank you for doing that. For example, the replacement of human pilots by drones has eliminated some jobs, but created many new opportunities in maintenance, remote control, data analysis, and cybersecurity. The US Armed Forces need 30 people to operate every unmanned predator, that's a drone, or a Reaper drone flying into Syria. While analyzing the resulting harvest of information occupies at least 80 people more. In 2015, the US Air Force lacked sufficient trained humans to fill all these positions and therefore faced an ironic crisis in manning its unmanned aircraft. One pilot can man the aircraft. Now you need 80 people to analyze the data and man that one aircraft. If so, the job markets of 2050 might be well characterized by human AI cooperation rather than competition. And your most important C is collaboration, by the way. Of course, collaboration and competition are both there. You'll compete with AI and you'll collaborate with AI. In fields ranging from policing to banking, teams of humans plus AIs could outperform both humans and computers. After IBM's chess program Deep Blue beat Gary Kasparov in 1997, humans did not stop playing chess. Rather, thanks to AI, trainers, human chess masters became better than ever. And at least for a while, human AI teams known as centaurs outperform both humans and computers in chess. I'll pause here and tell you athletes are today using a lot of AI to understand how they can perform better. AI might similarly help groom best detectives, bankers, and soldiers in history. And that's what is happening. Your war is now being fought all thanks to AI. The problem with all such new jobs, however, is that they will probably demand high level of expertise and will therefore not solve the problems of unemployed, unskilled labor. Think about it. If you don't shape up, you'll be shipped out. So if you want your job, if you want to stay where you are, please shape up. Please think deeply. Please push your skills up. That's it. Or pull your socks up. Any way you want to read it. Creating new human jobs might prove easier than retraining humans to actually fill these jobs. During previous waves of automation, people could usually switch from one routine, low skill job to another. In 1920, a farm worker laid off due to the mechanization of agriculture could find a new job in a factory producing tractors. In 1980, an unemployed factory worker could start working as a cashier in a supermarket. Such occupational changes were feasible because the move from the farm to the factory and from the factory to the supermarket required only limited retraining. But in 1950, a cashier or a textile worker losing their job to a robo could hardly be able to start working as a cancer researcher, as a drone operator, or as a part of human AI banking team. They will not have the necessary skills. In the First World War, it made sense to send millions of raw conscripts to charge machine guns and die in their thousands. Their individual skills mattered little. Today, despite the shortage of drone operators and data analysts, the US Air Force is unwilling to fill the gaps with Walmart dropouts. You wouldn't like an inexperienced recruit to mistake an Afghan wedding party for a high level Taliban conference. Consequently, despite the appearance of many new human jobs, we might nevertheless witness the rise of new useless class. We might actually get the worst of both worlds, suffering simultaneously from high unemployment and shortage of skilled labor. Many people might share the fate not of the 19th century wagon drivers who switched to driving taxis, but of the 19th century horses who were increasingly pushed out of the job market altogether. Brilliant. So he's talking about wagon drivers becoming taxi drivers, but the horses were pushed out of the job market. In addition, no remaining human job will ever be safe from the threat of future automation because machine learning and robotics will continue to improve. A 40-year-old unemployed Walmart cashier who, by dint of superhuman efforts, manages to reinvent herself as a drone pilot might have to reinvent self hire again 10 years later because by then the flying of drones may also have been automated. This volatility will also make it more difficult to organize unions to secure labor rights. Already today, many new jobs in advanced economies involve unprotected temporary work, freelancing, and one time gigs. You look around. How do you unionize a profession that mushrooms and disappears within a decade? Similarly, human computer centaur teams are likely to be characterized by a constant tug of war between the humans and the computers. Instead of settling down to a lifelong partnership, teams made exclusively of humans, such as Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson, usually develop permanent hierarchies and routines that last decades. But as human detective who teams up with IBM's Watson computer system, which became famous for winning the US TV quiz show Jeopardy in 2011, will find the very routine as an invitation for disruption and every hierarchy in the invitation for revolution. Yesterday's sidekick might morph into tomorrow's superintendent, and all protocols and manuals will have to be rewritten every year. Think about this. A closer look at the world chess might indicate where things are heading in the long run. It is true that for several years after Deep Blue defeated Kasparov, human computer cooperation flourished in chess. Yet, in recent years, have become so good at playing chess that their human collaborators lost their value and might soon become utterly irrelevant. On 7 December 2017, a critical milestone was reached. Not when a computer defeated a human to chess, that's old news, but when Google's AlphaZero program defeated the Stockfish 8 program. Stockfish 8 was the world's computer chess champion by 2016. It had access to centuries of accumulated human experience in chess, as well as the decades of computer experience. It was able to calculate 70 million chess positions per second. In contrast, AlphaZero outperformed 80,000 such calculations per second, and its human creators never taught it any chess strategies, not even standard openings. Rather, AlphaZero used the latest machine learning principles to self learn chess by playing against itself. Nevertheless, out of the 100 games the novice AlphaZero played against Stockfish, AlphaZero won 28 and tied 72. It didn't lose even once. Since AlphaZero learned nothing from any human, many of its winning moves and strategies seemed unconventional to human eyes. They may well be considered creative, if not downright genius. Can you guess how long it took AlphaZero to learn chess from scratch, prepare for the match against Stockfish, and develop its genius instincts? 4 hours. That's not a typo. For centuries, chess is considered one of the crowning glories of human intelligence. AlphaZero went from the utter ignorance to creative mastery in 4 hours without the help of any human guide. AlphaZero is not only the imaginative software out there, many programs, sorry, many programs now routinely outperform human chess. Players do not just in brute calculation, but even in creativity. In human only chess tournament, judges are constantly on the lookout for players who try to cheat by secretly getting help from computers. On the ways to catch cheats is to monitor the level of originality players display. If they play an exceptionally creative move, the judges often suspect that this cannot be possible be a human move, it must be a computer move. At least in chess, creativity is already the trademark of computers rather than humans. Hence, if chess is our is our coal mine canary, we are duly warned that the canary is dying. What is happening today to human AI chess teams might happen down the road to human AI teams in policing, medicine, and banking too. I'll read another 2 minutes because we started late. Consequently, creating new jobs and retraining people to fill them will not be a one off effort. The AI revolution won't be a single watershed event after which the job will just settle down into a new equilibrium. Rather, it will be a cascade of ever bigger disruptions. Already today, fewer employees expect to work in the same job for the entire life. By 2050, not just the idea of a job for life, but even the idea of a profession for life might seem antediluvian. Let's see what antediluvian is. Belonging to the time before the Bible. Okay, so this is very ancient times, outdated. Even if you could consequently invent new jobs and retrain the workforce, we may wonder whether the average human will have the emotional stamina necessary for a life of such endless upheavals. Change is always stressful, and the hectic world of the early 21st century has produced a global epidemic of stress. This is interesting. Let's pick this up. So it's very important for us to pick up these little statements and make you think. I'm going to mark this here and I'm going to copy this for you also. So I'm going to copy this and I'm just leaving some markers in your WhatsApp chat and you can respond if you feel like. I'm trying to make you think. That's all I'm trying to make you do by leaving these comments there. You don't have the book. As the volatility of the job market and of the individual careers increases, would people be able to cope? We would probably need far more effective stress reduction techniques, ranging from drugs through neurofeedback to meditation, to prevent the sapiens mind from snapping. By 2050, a useless class might emerge not merely because of an absolute lack of jobs or lack of relevant education, but because of insufficient stamina. Obviously, most of this is just speculation. At the time of writing, early 2018, automation has disrupted many industries, but it has not resulted in massive unemployment. In fact, in many countries such as the USA, unemployment is at a historical low. Nobody can know for sure what sort of impact machine learning and automation will have on different professions in the future. And it is extremely difficult to estimate the timetable of relevant developments, especially as they depend on political decisions and cultural traditions as much as on purely technological breakthroughs. Thus, even after self driving vehicles prove themselves safer and cheaper than human drivers, politicians and consumers might nevertheless block the change for years, perhaps decades. However, we cannot allow ourselves to be complacent. It is dangerous just to assume that enough new jobs will appear to compensate any job losses. The fact that this has happened during previous waves of automation is absolutely no guarantee that will happen again under the new different conditions of the 21st century. The potential social and political disruptions are so alarming that even if the probability of systematic mass unemployment is low, we should take it very seriously. In the 19th century, the Industrial Revolution created new conditions and problems that none of the existing social, economic, and political models could cope with. Feudalism, monarchism, and traditional religions are not adapted to managing industrial metropolises, millions of uprooted workers, or the constantly changing nature of the modern economy. Consequently, humankind had to develop completely new models, liberal democracies, communist dictatorship, and fascist regimes. It took more than a century of terrible wars and revolutions to experiment these models, separate the wheat from chaff, and implement the best solutions. Child labor in Dixonian coal mines, the First World War, the Great Ukraine Famine of 1932-33 constituted just a small part of tuition fees humankind paid. We'll pause here at the next paragraph. So I'll read this last paragraph. The challenge posed to humankind in the 21st century by infotech and biotech is arguably much bigger than the challenge posed in the previous era by steam engines, railways, and electricity. And given the immense destructive power of our civilization, we just cannot afford more failed models, world wars, and bloody revolutions. This time around, the failed models might result in nuclear wars, genetically engineered monstrosities, sorry about that, and a complete breakdown of the biosphere. Consequently, we have to be better than we did in confronting the industrial revolution. So I'm putting a bookmark here. If you have the electronic book, you can match it when we come here next week. If you have the print book, you can try and catch up with us in the print book. The bookmark is there in your WhatsApp. So I'll write there bookmark. And we meet next on Saturday, the 25th. Sorry, today is 25th. We meet on Saturday, the 1st of August. So bookmark for Saturday, the 1st of August. It's there in your chat in WhatsApp. The bookmark is there. We have made 2-3 changes. I'm sure you found this session far easier to navigate. We have tried to improve things for you. We hope you will bear with us, and I'm sure we'll improve further. It's been wonderful here. Anyone wants to say anything? You're most welcome. Shailendra, sir?
So perfectly fine, sir. Very interesting. I enjoyed it.
Grateful, sir. You
Thank
gave
you.
me a
Thank you so much,
chance.
sir.
I bow down to you, sir.
So,
Any of my young lasses want to say something? Myra, Khushi, Akanksha, anyone? I called out some names because these are young people I know. Aarti, Ankita, any one of these? Anyway, good you were here. And I read an hour. Sorry we started late. There's something in the chat. Let me see what the chat says. Waiting room or remove. Okay, thanks, Kunal. We had a waiting room on. It won't bother you next time. Grateful to Kunal for removing the waiting remove. I just read the message. The good thing now is you can message everyone. You can identify people whom you want to message to. Please connect with them and build relationships. And before you go and थिंक कि आज क्या हुआ, मैं तो रह गई, मैं आज पहुंच नहीं पाया सेशन में, अब मैं क्या करूं? इट्स वेरी सिंपल. Just go to YouTube. You'll find the session on the My Good School channel. Our YouTube address is, I'll type it in front of you so that you see it, youtube.com/@mygoodschool. And this is the channel. This is the channel homepage. Go there. You can go to the home. It'll look like this. You will see videos all together in series. These are videos of last week. Today's videos will be available tomorrow. We now give them one day later simply because we check our videos, we read the AI notes, and it takes us overnight to produce them. Finally, tomorrow, the newsletter will go out, which you should subscribe to, which captures the whole week's learning. The newsletter and our notes, which keep chasing you, will never let you go. So this newsletter comes to you. It's called the Good Schools of India newsletter, gsi.in, very simple domain, three alphabets, G for good, school, S, I for India, .in, the Indian domain. So the last week's story you may have read, it's about the learning forward retreat which we host in Dehradun. So tomorrow, the weekly which will come Monday morning, we will do it tomorrow for you. We'll have the story of the Snelata Prize this week. We'll have the story of the learning forward retreat we just hosted for Abu Road DPS and Dune International School Dehradun. It will have all our resources from Happy Teachers blog, from Joy of Learning diaries, from Sunday School, from Teachers Academy, and all for free. Because you don't use them and because you feel it's for free, excuse us. I think you must understand that we humans are liberals and free. And only when we feel this freedom do we care for each other. So, why we do it in open source and free is to build relationships. So, that's the answer to reading, reflection, and building relationships. Because if relationships were to cost, your learning would not go forward. On that note, I'm going to stop sharing. I've given you all the resources and I'm ready to sign off before someone barges in and say, I have something to say. I've got some thank yous. Thank you for that. Next week, we'll start in time. There will be no what we call waiting room fun. There's no need to register. We want no one's data whatsoever. We have disconnected from the system of the Emerging Literacies Masterclass. Those are workshops that will continue to have registration and data because that data generates your digital certificates from SEBI, AMFI, or wherever the digital certificates come from. We give no certificates. But if you want a certificate for coming here, then please go on the website, register for certification. It's 3,000 rupees. If you feel coming here and contributing and you want a certificate for attending, please register for that. If you don't want a certificate, we're all yours for free. Bless you all. Thank you, sir, for your patience. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kunal, Sneha, everyone at our office. Look, there's no one in the office, but I have to say thank you. God bless everybody. Help me to be good. Thank you. Khuda Hafiz.